Good morning. Can you all hear me now? Am I audible? Please let me know.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Now you're audible.
Okay. A very good morning to all dear parents and teachers to the webinar hosted by Narayana Vidyalayam, Koradi Road, Nagpur on New Education Policy 2020. It is very important to understand the policy and implement it. So today we'll try to know it and how it will affect the parents. Please mute your mic, all of you. It's a request, kindly mute your mic. Screen. So today we'll see what is the importance of New Education Policy 2020, understand it, and what every parent must know and do. We all would agree that education is fundamental for achieving full human potential, to develop an equitable and just society, and promote national development. Unless and until the society is just, national development cannot be promoted. Today, the world is undergoing rapid changes, we all know, in the knowledge landscape, and there are a lot of advances. We can see advancement has been made in scientific area, technological area. So there is machine learning, artificial intelligence, and so many unskilled jobs may be taken over by machines. We may have robots for a lot of work. Now also we are using robots in different ways, and in future we may have robots for doing most of our work, and at that time multidisciplinary abilities across the sciences, social sciences and humanities will be increasingly in higher demand. So there will be more demand for humanities and art as our nation, our country, India, moves towards becoming a developed country as well as among the 3 largest economies in the world. With the quickly changing employment landscape that we are able to see and global ecosystem, it is becoming increasingly critical that children not only learn, but learn how to learn. Education must move towards how to think critically and solve problems, how to be creative, how to adapt and absorb new material in changing fields and the new fields that are coming in. So pedagogy needs to evolve to make education more experiential, holistic, integrated, inquiry-driven, discovery-oriented, learner-centered, discussion-based, flexible, and learning needs to be enjoyable also. There was a time when children were told to go to school. Things are changing. Now children want to come to school. And if education is enjoyable, they would really love to come to school and they would love to study. And at the same time, it has to be discovery-oriented, learner-centered, discussion-based, flexible, and with apart from being enjoyable. Our country has heritage of ancient eternal Indian knowledge, and this thought has been a guiding light for the policy. NEP 2020 is the first education policy of the 21st century. The implementation of previous policies on education has focused largely on issues of access and equity. So it was in 1986 then modified in 1992, and then we came up with other policies, and now this is another one, the latest one with a lot of changes for good. It is the purpose of education system to develop good human beings capable of rational thought and action, possessing compassion and empathy, courage and resilience, scientific temper and creative imagination with ethics and values. India has had great scholars like Aryabhatta, Bhaskaracharya, Charak, Maitreyi, and Gargi, who have made great contributions in various fields. And this is something that we need to know, we need to understand and bring back the glory of Anish, that is striving to become the world leader. So the vision of the policy is to develop our education system deeply rooted in Indian ethos, which has the capability to provide high quality education to compete in the global world. Our children are not the ones who would stay within the country. Even if they stay in the country, they would be working with multinationals, they would be working with people outside. So they need to compete in the global world. And such kind of education, if provided, will really do wonders. The next is the curriculum and pedagogy must develop a sense of respect towards fundamental duties and Constitution of India and have a deep bond with the country. So what we are talking about? We are talking about a person who's patriotic, a person who has a deep sense of pride when it comes to the nation. A truly Indian citizen is what we are talking about. To develop a sense of pride and respect for the country and be responsible for human rights, sustainable development, global well-being, thereby reflecting a truly global citizen. Now, what we talk about is that the truly Indian citizen would have the idea of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that the whole world is ours. And we are equal partners when it comes to sustainable development. We should leave something for the future generations as well, because it belongs to them also. Next is the focus on socio-economically disadvantaged groups, also known as the SCDGs. So let's see. Here, gender identities is what I'm going to talk about, particularly female and transgender individuals, as they form a large population, but they have to be brought completely into the mainstream, and especially women who cut across all underrepresented groups, we would say. Then we come to socio-cultural identities, the SCs, the STs, OBCs, and the minorities, which are yet to get all that they would need. Geographical identities is the next one, whereas, where students from villages, small towns, and those who are aspiring to reach a particular standard will be helped. Once again, like the children who are studying in the cities and in schools. Disabilities, that is, children who have learning disabilities also. For this, it is very important that parents identify the disabilities of the children, though not to feel shy about any kind of disability that the child has, report it to the school so that all the children, the parents and the school all can work towards it. That is very important because all the children have to be brought in the mainstream. Then we come to socio-economic conditions. When we talk about socio-economic conditions, what do we talk about? We talk about migrants, migrant laborers, trafficking victims, victims who have people who are affected due to human trafficking, and orphans also, because they are also an important part of our society, and they should not be left behind. So the disadvantaged groups need to be brought into the mainstream. The next, we come to the next slide, that is the fact that the NEP 2020 envisages that 10+2 structure in school education will be modified. Till now we have the 10+2 structure, but now it is being restructured, and that is in the terms of pedagogy and curriculum. That is, it will become 5+3+3+4, covering ages 3 to 18. And then, we all know that previously the academic structure was 10+2. So, 3 years now will be in Anganwadi or preschool, what we call as preschool, and then 12 years in school. So, we begin with the foundational stage of 5 years, that is 3 to 8 years. Multi-level, play-based and activity-based learning. Now here what would happen is, there would be 3 years of preschool, like nursery, KG1 and KG2, that would be 3 years of preschool and 2 years of grades 1 and 2. And all this would be based on key stages of learning and learning needs of students. Next, the preparatory stage, that is 3 years, range being 8 to 11 years. And in this 8 to 11 years, emphasis will be on play, on discovery, activity-based. So children would not just rote learn. They would do and they would observe. They would discover. And that is how they would learn. But then in this, light textbook would also be there. And interactive classroom learning, because interaction is the best way to learn. Textbook will not be the only resource. There are different ways of learning. The most important being digital learning. So digital learning has come a long way, and it will go a long way, especially during this time, during COVID-19 times. We have seen how important it is. The middle stage is also of 3 years, that is 11 to 14 years of age, that emphasizes on experiential learning, and here subject teachers would be introduced for learning of more abstract concepts in each subject across science, mathematics, arts, social sciences and humanities. So secondary stage now will comprise of 4 years of multidisciplinary study with greater depth, greater critical thinking and flexibility in choosing subjects. Children will have a lot of flexibility. So a lot of change, but all for good. Then the key overall thrust of curriculum and pedagogy reforms across all stages will be to move education system towards real understanding. Till now, what used to happen was that the teacher used to give a set of questions and answers, and the teacher would say that, okay children, now learn these and come, tomorrow there's a test. So the children would learn, and what they would do is, they would put down everything on paper as they had memorized. And the child would get 10 on 10, 20 on 20, or whatever it was. But now this is going to shift. The idea is that we move away from rote learning, which is known as rote learning, where the child learns all the question answers and then writes in the paper. So the child needs to move away from rote learning and shift to competency-based teaching, learning and assessment. According to the competency of the child, बच्चे को निपुण बनाना है, उसकी capabilities को देखते हुए. Reducing curriculum to the core essentials to minimize rote learning, and enhance critical thinking. We need our children to think critically. We are not to spoon feed them. They should know how to think for themselves. Holistic inquiry and discovery based. It will be a complete one. Inquiry based. The children can ask questions. They can inquire. Not to be told that don't ask questions and follow my own way. And discovery based. Let them discover. Let's have them discovery. Discussion. Let them discuss among themselves. And analysis based learning. Let them analyze. Outcome based curriculum. The curriculum will be outcome based. That after studying a particular thing, the child is able to, this is the outcome, or this should be the outcome. The child is able to do that. So shifting from traditional assessment to competency based. And with this, we have promoting sport integrated and art integrated learning for holistic development of the child. That is developing skills like collaboration, self-initiative. Self-initiative is very important, wherein the child takes initiative and does the work. Self-discipline, teamwork, responsibility, citizenship, etc., with integration of Indian art and culture and creating joyful classrooms through art integrated learning. Art integration is an important part of all the subjects. So these will be integrated with classroom teaching. So there won't be any kind of differentiation of curricular, co-curricular or extracurricular. Everything will be a part of learning. The policy also talks about learning in mother tongue or the regional language up to class 5 and preferably till class 8. As we all know that young children grasp concepts more quickly in their mother tongue or the home language. No language will be imposed till grade 5, preferably till grade 6, because we see that in many countries, mother tongue is the language of instruction. But then yes, all languages will be important. And Sanskrit, one of the features is that Sanskrit will be offered at all levels of school and higher education as an important enriching option for students, included as an option in the 3-language formula. After this, we come to a 360-degree holistic report card. Till now, the kind of report card that we had was where we tested the children in their subjects. Now, it is not just the subjects, because our ultimate aim is to see the all-round development of the child. So it is not just the subjects that we look into the other aspects also. So the progress card of all students for school-based assessment will be completely redesigned. And that is why it is known as a 360-degree holistic report card under the guidance from the proposed National Assessment Center, NCERT and SCERT. So the progress card will be a holistic 360-degree multi-dimensional report card that reflects in great detail about the uniqueness of each learner. It will include self-assessment, peer assessment, progress in project, inquiry-based learning, quizzes, role plays, group work, portfolio, etc. So along with the teacher. Children, please don't send smileys over here. It's nice to send smileys to me early in the morning, but this is not the right time. Now, this will form an important link between home and school. Because here, now, so what happens is generally, I may say that my child is not good at physics, but I know that my child is a good orator, my child is a helpful child, he is a child with lots of empathy, he takes care of others, so that is also equally important. Till now, everybody was more bothered about the grades, A plus. But we also need to see how good the child is. Goodness is innate in every child. But till now, not much of importance was probably given to it. So even if my child is not good at physics, I know he's a good human being. I know he's good at other things. So that will not only motivate the child, that would also help him to achieve further. We would see that children would get demotivated because of not being good at a particular subject. So there's no point in getting demotivated because there are a lot of good things in the child. He's capable of many other things. Then we come to transforming assessment and tracking student progress across school years. Now, all the students will take school examinations in grades 3, 5, and 8 to track progress throughout the school years and not just at the end of 10th and 12th. So that teaching learning process can be improved. And these would test achievement of basic learning outcomes. So there will be standard assessment in grades 3, 5, and 8. Until now, a lot of focus was given on board exams. And board exams for everybody, for the child and the entire family, which led to stress, anxiety, palpitation. With the new system, which is going to be competency-based, students will be better equipped. And they will have subjective, objective MCQs, which will be based on knowledge and application. And so the fear of learning would go down, because then they would not have to mug up, or they would not have to do rote learning and write on the paper. Then we come to the key features of pedagogy. Now, competency-based education is what we are looking to, and that is ability or skill-based. Under this, we also have teamwork, problem-solving, decision-making, and leadership. Then we have integration of subjects, development of scientific temper, no silos among subjects. Now, when we say no silos among subjects or learning, what it means is that streams like science, humanities, commerce will be dissolved. Till now, we used to say that I am a science student or a commerce student or a humanities student. But now it will all dissolve. Why? Because one can take science and music, one can take maths and visual art. So all these, these differentiations will go away. The child will have more freedom, more choice of subjects. Then we have bagless days. Students will have 10 bagless days so that they can learn some vocation, like, they can learn pottery, they can learn carpentry, they can, those 10 bagless days, they will be taken on visits to various places. It could be a museum, it could be a zoo, it could be a place of historical importance. At the same time, it could be some college, some institution for higher knowledge. So these 10 bagless days would be, days of learning, but would be days of a lot of fun. So children need not bring their bags on those days. So that is what we call as 10 bagless days. Then the policy also talks about no school dropouts, and that is to bring children back to school. Now we all know about the fact that a great number of children in India would drop out of their school. They would not continue with the school education for various reasons. And the reasons could be distance, long distances, there could be socio-economic issues or non-performance of the students also. And in some cases, because of the kind of teaching that went on in schools. Because we had schools where, classes 1 to 4 were taught by one teacher and in one classroom. So these were the things and other issues why the children would not be able to go to school. Safety also is considered as an important issue, especially for the girl child. And so in a lot of parts of the country, girl children were not sent to schools. They are still not sent to schools. And because of all this, a lot of effort is towards seeing to the fact that the children come back to school. And now we come to certain things that parents should try to identify. One is, the mention was made a little earlier, any physical disability. Please identify the physical disability of the child. Let's not put all this under the carpet, because after all, we are working for the children. So, identification of physical disability of any sort, learning disability, because if there is any kind of disability and if detected early, children can be helped. In our country, unfortunately, highlighting upon the disability or talking about the disability is a taboo. We don't want to talk about the disabilities of our children. We only talk about the ability, not realizing the fact that every child has innate potential and every child has a lot of ability. So if there is any disability that you have come across or you know of, or if you have got tested, it should be informed to the school so that the school and home both can work together with the parents rather than putting it all under the carpet. Then we come to the fact that it is important for parents to attend parenting sessions organized by the school. There may be parenting sessions online, there may be parenting sessions offline. So parents need to attend those parenting sessions, because when the parenting sessions are one-to-one, as I would say, or if they are with a lot of communication, a lot of things are ironed out. Then what we come to is that parents are expected to work closely with school to deal with substance abuse. In case a child is found to be taking or to be under substance abuse, parents need to work with the school. Or sexual orientations and other adolescence issues. Children, please don't send any smileys. Let your parents join. Let your parents join. Limesh Bure, please don't do that. Akshaya Laddar, please don't do. Let your parents join. Because adolescence is such a stage where parents find it very difficult to deal with the children. So at that time, the school and the parents can work together and they can sort out the issues and help children who are undergoing hormonal imbalances. As a result, undergoing stress, and as a result, they are not listening to the parents or throwing temper tantrums. Partnership of parents and school in this regard will help students who have gone wayward from the correct path. We need to bring them back to the correct path. They might think that it is all right, it is all correct. But the parents and the school can help them in this regard. Then parents also need to stay updated with information about the activities in the school and the child's progress. Because for every school to function, parent participation is very important. And in such a case, parents need to stay updated. And portfolios provide review and feedback to the parents so the parents know about the progress of the child, how the child has progressed from one step to the other. Then we have the National Foundational Literacy and Numeracy Mission, under which we see to it that the child is able to read, write, and do simple number plus and minus. In that also parents can volunteer. They can volunteer for field visits, sports, art exhibitions, annual function, school magazine, and other activities of the school. So the school no longer will work in isolation. Equal parental participation is required. And parents specialized in a particular field can present lectures to students. They can be online, they can be offline. Because the parental support in this will be of immense help. Parents are specialized in their own fields, and their knowledge can be shared as they can become the resource persons in this regard. I had spoken about the 10 bagless days. Now during the grades 6 to 8, these 10 bagless days would emphasize on vocational courses that prepare for specific trades, crafts or careers. So gardening can be taken, photography can be taken, carpentry can be taken. These are only some that I am talking about. There can be more than, there will be more than this. So the child can take according to his or her wishes. Shivansh, no smileys please. Shivansh, please don't disturb. Please don't disturb Shivansh. It is for parents, it is not for students. And if students are sitting, they need to listen carefully and not disturb. Then we come to NIOS. NIOS is open school, which caters to the need of mixed group of learners up to pre-degree level. Now the NIOS has its own curriculum and exams which lead to certification. It also provides opportunities to the learners by making available the courses or programs through open and distance learning mode, which is also known as ODL. It offers vocational education in different areas as agriculture, business and commerce, engineering and technology, teacher training and others. And now NIOS has a very big role to play in this, because with distance learning, students who are not able to go to school can also learn. Then we come to the parent representation for PTM. It is important that parents do attend the PTMs, the parent-teacher meet, and know about the child, interact with the teacher, so that the children can be helped in all the aspects. Parent participation in events for parents in school is basically to strengthen the bond between parents and school. Parents can involve themselves in community outreach programs by the school, like awareness campaigns, visit to the orphanage and old age home, eco-sustainability drive, to name a few. So, I mean, this is a very good initiative where parents' help will be needed, and we would look forward to parents helping us out. Now, with this, we come to the end of the webinar on New Education Policy 2020. We thank all the parents for sparing their valuable time and attending the webinar, because together, we as a school feel that together we can and we will make the difference in the lives of our children. If you have any questions, we have just few minutes. We can take 1 or 2 questions.
No, ma'am.
Any questions related to the webinar? You may ask.
No, ma'am.
So once again, we thank all of you for joining us in this webinar on New Education Policy 2020. Thank you, dear parents.